Hello, everybody. It is Lauren, and today I am coming to you in a space called The Growth Edit. So, welcome. This is a brand new series that I have created specifically for business owners like yourself who are feeling like things are working in business, but not really working, if you get my drift. You're booked out, you've probably got a lot of clients, you feel like you know how to show up, but if you're being really honest with yourself and you're taking a look under the covers, behind the scenes, things feel a little bit like they're in shambles. I know, you're posting all the content, you're trying to do all the things, but it just doesn't feel like it's super clear. I know that you're working hard, but it's just not feeling like it's simple. You're growing your business and you're scaling, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel as exciting. It's that exciting feeling you get when you're growing something and it is new and it's fresh and it's exciting, but it feels stressful. And you're thinking, okay, I'm going to sign this new client and it's going to be great, or I'm going to sell my next product and things are going awesome. But every time we take a step further to increasing that financial milestone and getting to that new stage of business, it feels stressful. And that's not what entrepreneurship's about. That's not what business ownership is about. It's supposed to be fun. We got into this space. I mean, if you're anything like me, I got into this space of being a business owner because I love it and it's fun and there's the thrill of running a business and the excitement. But sometimes it just feels overshadowed when things behind the scenes are a bit messy. So if that kind of sounds like where you're at, then you are in the right place, my friend. This is exactly the mini series that you need to be tuning into, and I'm so excited to be bringing it to you. So over these next few episodes, what I'm going to be doing is walking you through some of the biggest shifts that I've made in my own businesses. And I kind of went from that stage of really just winging things and constantly burning out. And when I say burning out, I mean more times than one, to finally building something that feels sustainable and exciting and that gets me out of bed every morning, even on that Monday morning. My to-do list isn't stressful. I'm not feeling like I'm already behind before the clocks even hit 9 a.m. I want something, and I want this for you as well. I wanted to build a business that felt strategic and something that really does feel like me. So over these next few episodes, you're going to hear some stories that I don't really think I've ever shared too many of these publicly. And to be honest, I'm going to share some things that I personally wish that I heard sooner. I wish I had somebody like my coaches now and like the people that I'm in the room with now. I wish they shared with me back then. And I'm going to share the exact mindset and marketing shifts that really helped me scale to the 6-figure and beyond milestones without that chaos. This is about building a business that's actually here to support your life and what you're looking for. So pour a cup of coffee, pop those headphones in, or if you're in the car, turn that stereo up, and let's get into it. This is exciting. I've actually kicked my shoes off for this episode, which I don't normally do, but this is kind of me in cozy mode. I feel like this is a really nice little intimate podcast where I'm going to share some information with you and some insights with you and a few little personal stories, I think, about my business journey and growing a business over these next few episodes in the hopes that this makes growth for you and just the mindset and the attitude that you have towards growing your business that 1% easier for you. And I really hope that you get something out of these episodes. So as you listen, if you find that there's moments where you're like, oh my gosh, yes, Lauren, you just get it and I totally understand, or you have a brainwave or something feels really exciting, please slide into my DMs. You can hit me up on @lauren.thesocialcollective on Instagram, or you can also message me over on the Coffees and Content podcast page, which is @Coffees and Content Pod. But today we're going to get into the very first episode, which is talking about how I started to simplify my strategy for business, marketing, all the things, and how it gave me both my time and my sanity back. So a little backstory for you, I guess, in terms of where I came from and how I started to realize that my strategy that I was running my business with just didn't serve me anymore. I had this thing where when I started to grow my business, as I think a lot of, and I've come to realize these days, a lot of entrepreneurs do the same. I used to wake up and think, okay, today's mission is maybe to get a new lead, or It's to reach out to somebody that I have potentially been speaking with that might want to work with me. And so my marketing plan was always very on the fly. For someone that works in social media, it was kind of ironic because I would be so focused on other people's marketing that I wasn't really focusing on my own. And my thing, and as much as it pains me to admit it now, I used to wake up and I'd open Instagram and I'd ask myself, do I feel inspired to post today? And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the days I really didn't feel inspired. I had no mojo to post. I couldn't think of what to post. I was really just kind of hoping that an idea would slap me across the face and I would go, yep, that's the one. And I would share it on social media. And in the early days, it was a lot easier to come across these random ideas while I was working. I'd be thinking, okay, what's something I can share with my audience? And I was really excited to post on social media. And I wanted people to know that I knew my stuff and I had done the qualifications. I'd been to uni, I'd done my postgrad, I'd been through my year of being on a scholarship. I had gone and taught, I was a lecturer at AUT for a minute and I taught an advertising class. So I wanted people to know that I really knew my stuff and I hadn't just Googled one day how to be a social media manager and started doing it. But as the business grew, I had less and less time to sit and kind of mull over ideas. I had less time to strategize for my own business. And if I'm being totally honest with you too, I also didn't really know what I was doing. I knew how to create social media content and I knew how to post, but I had no idea what I was doing when it came to business. I'd never worked with a business coach before. I'd never really worked with, anyone outside of a life coach before. And life coaches that I'd worked with certainly weren't going to tell me how to run my business. And I started to realize that my strategy of winging it was actually not a strategy at all. And it was a bit of a hard pill to swallow because I realized that I had to take a serious look at what I was doing and asking myself that question that I think a lot of us do at the beginning is this a passion project or is this really a business that I want to grow? And I think for me, that was kind of a big turning point was looking at, okay, is this business something that I want to continue to do for many, many years to come? And if so, I've got to start treating it like one. And I've got to start showing up not just for my clients, but for myself. Because let's be real, whether it's products or services that we're offering in the world, people aren't going to stick around forever. Repeat customers only come back for so long. And service-based businesses, we can only have clients for certain periods of time, unless you'd luck it and you just come across that one dream client that is with you for forever, who, when they do, and we have some at the Social Collective, we absolutely love them. But we also know that there comes a time in everybody's lives where we have to move on to the next chapter. And so by not putting ourselves out there with our marketing, we're actually holding ourselves back. And so what I had to do was take a good hard look at what I was doing to basically consistently bring in an income for myself and how simplifying my marketing strategy was actually the thing that I needed to do to help me grow. And I kind of want to share a little bit for you today about how I did that. Because if you are anything like how I was back then, everything to me felt so chaotic. I really felt like I was pulling content out of thin air. I felt like I was creating it in Canva and then I was having to quickly throw it out there. There was no Trello boards. There was no organization. There was no systemizing. There were no content pillars. I just had content that I was putting out there. And over time, one of the things that I noticed was the biggest red flag is that I was doing what I now tell my clients not to do. And I was speaking to everybody with my content because there was no strategy and game plan. And so I would be bringing on clients that were such big red flags. I would be bringing on clients that were so not aligned for my business or where I was at or where I was headed. But it was because they were kind of reacting to the chaotic marketing that I was doing. And so what I had to do was look at, okay, how do I structure this so it's sustainable? But also, how do I bring in the right people so I can get my sanity back and not have to keep working with these people that are just not right for me? They are absolutely right for somebody else, but just not right for me and where I'm going. Because at that point, all of my content had depended entirely on my energy levels, and the output that I was providing and creating for my business was dependent on my energy levels. And realistically, the more work I took on, the less energy that I had at the end of the day. So I had to get real with myself. And I want to get real with you for a second too and remind you that you don't need to be posting more. The strategy here is not to post more content. And honestly, even if you're posting once a week, I'm still speaking to you. You don't need to post more. And in fact, these days, the algorithms actually don't even favor when we post more. What they're looking for is content that is so insanely potent that it starts to speak to the right people. And I'm going to talk through that a little bit later on in this series. But what we need to do to start with is to get really clear and more consistent by doing less. We're not trying to do 52 things all at once. We want to think about what are the absolute core fundamentals that my business needs to grow, and we want to implement those. So things like making sure you have a welcome series so that every single person that signs up for the pop-up on your website or subscribes to your mailing list instantly feels seen and recognized and heard. We want to make sure that we've got a consistent content plan. Like I said, whether that's one post a week or it's 5 posts a week, whatever it is, do what's consistent for you. Making sure that you've got regular email comms going out there. I say this to all my coaching clients. Don't aim for weekly newsletters if that's not doable, because all you're going to do is bombard your audience with a whole bunch over a short period of time and then ghost them. And that's so annoying for anybody. So what I started to do is to look at, okay, how can I structure things? And it actually started with the Trello board. Trello is really, really nice and easy. It's simple. It's visually appealing. I love a Trello board. And I started looking at what were the weekly themes? What did I want to focus on? And so that's where my content leaned into. It's actually how I created the Coffees and Content newsletter as well, because I started creating content and realizing I'm providing all these social media updates. Why not also put them into an email? So I started prepping the different social media updates that I could share on my socials and then combining all of those and putting them into my weekly newsletter. And that's actually how I've ended up doing these podcasts and why the Coffees and Content podcast has now become, for the 3rd season in a row, the #1 podcast in the marketing space in New Zealand. So I am very proud of all of the work that I've put in behind the scenes to make that happen. And I just want you to know that it's possible for you too. The other thing as well is batching content. If you know, and be really honest with yourself for a second here, if you know that you've got kids and they need to be picked up and dropped off and looked after during the day from school and all the things, if you know that you've got other things going on, if you are running a business but also working part-time or full-time somewhere else, if you just have other things going on or you've got a big client workload, we need to be realistic and start batching our content. We're not doing what I used to do and waking up in the morning and going, do I feel like posting today? Probably not. Okay, we'll try again tomorrow. That's just not doable anymore. For us to be able to grow and scale the businesses like I know that you want, I need you to start taking this seriously and blocking in that time into your calendar. That is the absolute golden hour in your week, even if it's 60 minutes. You can have more time, you can have less time, but make sure that there is time in your calendar that you protect with your life, because that is your time in the day where you create your content. Smash out all your content for the week and know, cool, it's done. Get it out there, get it done. Do it once a month if that's what needs to happen. But we need to start batching and blocking in that time so that if life happens, that's okay. I was talking to a client about this the other day. She's passed off some of her work to her team. And just like I do, work goes out to the social media managers, then it comes back to us, and we are the ones that need to approve it. And she started to recognize during this coaching session that the content was getting done by her team, but it wasn't ending up on social. And the reason it wasn't ending up on social media is because she became the bottleneck. And I've been there too. You become the bottleneck with your own content. And even if you don't have a team and you are the one doing it, you become the bottleneck because we run out of time in the day. We run out of hours. We're moving those things in our calendar and we're making excuses. But like I said at the beginning of the episode, when I started to realize that I wanted to take my business seriously and I wanted this to be something that I did for many years to come, I had to stop making excuses for myself. And even if I didn't have the inspiration that day and I woke up and thought, don't really feel like posting today, I still showed up and I still created the content. And something that makes that so much easier is knowing what your content pillars are. And if you've heard my podcast episode, which is all around content pillars, you can go check it out on the Coffees and Content podcast. But I talk all about the fact that there are content pillars and there are content types. And I won't go into too much detail about it today because there's a whole episode there on it. But in a nutshell, content pillars are your umbrella topics about your business. So they are the 3 to 5 key pillars, key topics that your business focuses on. And what that means is that when we create a post, we can just pick one of the 5 or one of the 3, and we can then create content about the first idea that comes to mind in that content bucket. And then we match it up with a content type, which is either education, inspiration, or promotion. Usually you can have a few different ones, but I find these are really nice and simple. And what that does is it tells us how we're going to communicate it. Am I going to educate and teach my audience something? Am I going to inspire and evoke some kind of emotion in them? Am I going to promote and actively sell my services or sell my products? So having these content pillars and these content types to work through for your advertising, social media, your email marketing, anything that you're doing, it is so insanely helpful to help bring in that inspiration, even on days where we're feeling like we are just a little flat and we don't quite have it. So I want you to really think about where you could be blocking in some time in your week that becomes that golden hour that you protect so much so that you can give yourself some time without any distractions to focus on your business. Because let's be real, we're at that point where you're not running your business as a passion project. This is not a side hustle. It's not a hobby. This is something that you are here to do. And if you are listening to this podcast episode, I know that you are taking yourself seriously. So it's time to start acting like it. And that's a little bit of the tough love from me because, like me, your content shouldn't depend on your mood every single day. We shouldn't be letting ourselves down if we're sick or if we're tired or if the kids have got a lot going on or we've had to do some last minute work for a client. Because if it does, what happens is our audiences start to feel that inconsistency too. And then where is the trust? Where is that trust and that mutual respect that we have with our audience if we're not showing up for them and we're also not showing up for ourselves? So it's time to simplify those systems. It's time to start getting our messages really clear, even if our brain isn't. I want you to have your weekends back. I want you to not have to work late at night. I want you to really enjoy what you're doing. And that starts to happen when we create some really strong systems and foundations. So if you feel like after listening to today's episode that is something that you need, I would love for you to reach out. Just drop me a DM on Instagram. But that is all for this first episode. Stay tuned for part 2, and I'm going to be dropping in with something else very exciting.